So I was doing some setup on my homemade Telecaster here, and I came to a realization um, that had just escaped me for so long for some reason. And one of the things that has always bugged me, and I would just blame the 25.5 inch scale associated with Fender products as the culprit, was a kind of excessive buzzing along the fretboard. And I would set these up basically according to the Fender spec, which would be 10 1,000ths neck relief and 4/64 of action height across the 17th fret. And despite doing that, I was always like, yeah, it's just not quite right. So I was just monkeying around with this thing the other day, and I raised the action a little bit. Something as simple as that. I've got the action now across the 17th fret at about 5/64 on the low E and the A, and then gradually working down to just over 4/64. So I mean, we're talking such small fractions of an inch, but the difference in playability and tone, and the neck relief is still at 10 1,000ths, is mind-blowing. The amount of sustain and just how the guitar feels. It feels like I actually lowered the action. So it's really contradictory, is what my finding is that lowering the action on these made it harder to play. Raising it makes it feel a little spongier and more flexible and fun, and the notes really ring out. The chords are just beautiful. It's very crisp. I've always really liked this guitar because I built it myself, and thought it really came out well, but I felt it was just not quite 100% there, and now it's absolutely 100% there. So with that, I wanted to give you a couple of tips and things to look for if you're out looking for a guitar for yourself and you're picking one up in the shop, and things to look for. First and foremost, everything starts with the neck and the neck relief. So if you're shopping for a guitar in the store, I would say the first thing you want to do is just hit open strings and see if you hear anything buzzing or rattling off the first fret. That'll tell you right out of the gate, is the nut cut too low. It's not going to tell you a heck of a lot about neck relief, but it'll tell you something. What will really tell you about neck relief, and if it's too flat, is play notes across just the first and second fret. Those should ring very clear, very little to no buzz whatsoever on those. And that'll tell you that you got some curve. The other thing is the same thing you see on the internet, is hold the finger down on the first and the last fret, and there should be some tapping on the string. But if you want to take it a step further, when you go to the guitar store, bring with you these 3 items, and you'll learn a lot about the guitar. Number 1, bring a capo. Number 2, automotive feeler gauge. And if you're buying, a Strat or a Telecaster, find the one that's 10 1,000ths. You're going to take your capo, and you're going to put it just about, not quite on top of, but right next to the first fret. And you're going to hold the guitar down, hold the low E at the highest fret. You're going to measure it on the 8th fret or so, and it should just slide under there without really hitting the string at 10 1,000ths, and then you're at Fender spec for neck relief. And then the other thing is just take one of these rulers. This is a little machine shop ruler that measures in 64ths. Just critical to have. It's my most used tool for all my guitars. And go on the Fender products right across the 17th and just see where it's at. And it should match the radius for the most part. I found, pro setup tip number 2, I guess, is the strings that are wound. You want those maybe a hair higher than the unwound strings. You can get away with a little lower action on those, and play around with it. See what feels good, where you find the balance between fret buzz and acceptable fret buzz, right? There's a difference. Any electric guitar is going to have a little bit of buzz. It's just what one's going to give you the tone that you're looking for. And then the last thing when you're going to set up a guitar and stuff is just check, how far the pickup is from the strings. You want to hold down the string on the last fret, and you're going to measure. And Fender spec is generally 5/64 to 6/64 on the high E, and then on the low E, depending on the pickup, 5/64 to 8/64, right? So on a Texas Special, they want to be much farther away, and you can hear it in the tones as well. So you can just lower them pretty far down and raise them up, and you've gone too far when all of a sudden it doesn't quite sound like a string anymore. You've lost some definition, and they kind of sound a little over fuzzy or hairy. That's when just back them down a quarter turn, and then you're probably right in the realm of the sweet spot, and you'll be really happy with what you came out with. So those are my little setup tips for 25.5-inch scale Fender type guitars. I hope that helps you out if you're out shopping for one and what to look for. Again, the tools to bring into the guitar store, I always bring them, is the automotive feeler gauge, a 64th inch ruler, and a capo, and just take some measurements, because you don't want to spend the money and come home and find out that, geez, this thing isn't right. It's well beyond the capabilities of just a setup to fix it, and you can just identify issues right out of the gate with those simple tools. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.